Hello and welcome to Military Times Live. I'm Daniel Woolfolk in Alexandria, Virginia. We have a very special live stream for you today. We're really excited to be in Alexandria National Cemetery. Now you might be thinking, hey, is this Arlington National Cemetery? It's not. There are actually several national cemeteries, as we're going to learn here in a little bit, but it has so much history, and we're lucky enough to have Jennifer Perunko with us, who's a historian for the Department of Veterans Affairs, who is going to show us around and tell us a little bit about the cemetery. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to have you. Thank you. This cemetery is in Alexandria, Virginia. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of it?
Sure. We are on the southern end of Alexandria. We were actually, during the Civil War, would have been outside the city boundaries. As you come into the cemetery, you'll notice a lot of city cemeteries on each side of the road. Those cemeteries were initially used to bury soldiers who died here in Alexandria. Alexandria had a fair number of hospitals where Union soldiers from the Civil War would be brought and cared for. They also had out at the seminary towards Fairfax, they also had a rest area where they might have left the hospitals and gone out there to recuperate. So the government initially were burying in some of the city cemeteries, and it was becoming a problem and taking up room. So they sought land next to those cemeteries from Alexandria, and they leased about 5.5 acres right here where we're standing to start interring the Union soldiers. After Lincoln was assassinated, the hunt was on for those responsible for the assassination of President Lincoln. A group of firemen from here in Alexandria were on a boat south in the Potomac by Blackstone Island. It was dark. Another vessel was coming up the Potomac, bringing troops back from war. It struck the boat the firemen were on. They were on picket duty looking for the men who assassinated Lincoln. And that boat sunk, losing about 25 men, and 4 of them are buried right here. They initially had a larger monument that was referred to as the Fireman's Monument. We're not entirely sure when that one went away. But then around 1922, a group dedicated this new monument to these 4 men. So along with being one of the first national cemeteries, it is also known as being the first cemetery where black and white soldiers were buried together. One of the hospitals here in Alexandria, Louverture Hospital, named after the Haitian Revolutionary, was the main hospital that treated the U.S. colored troops, as well as other black freemen and enslaved persons who had made it here to Alexandria and behind Union lines.
Could you tell us a little bit about that story about the freedmen and where Alexandria plays a role?
Yes.
Geography?
Once the Emancipation Proclamation came into effect on January 1st, 1863, men, women, children, those who could escape from the South and make it over the lines here were kept safe here in Alexandria. As a matter of fact, the population boomed. It basically added 5,000 residents to Alexandria after the Emancipation Proclamation came into effect.
Oh, wow.
So there were quite a number of black men, women, children. The federal government appointed a superintendent of what they called contraband, which is how they referred to the formerly enslaved men, women, and children. His name was Reverend Gladwell, and he plays a role in the story of how the USCT troops ended up here in this cemetery. He had said that all the USCT, all the black men, soldiers who passed away here in Alexandria should be buried in the Freedmen and Contraband Cemetery. He got the governor, the military governor here in Alexandria, to agree with him. However, the assistant quartermaster, a man by the name of Captain Lee, said those weren't his orders. His orders were that all soldiers should be buried here in this cemetery. And he was able to bury some of the black soldiers here. But then all that changed, and Gladwell had even interfered with in the course of such an interment. When men were bringing over a deceased soldier, the funeral cortege was stopped by other soldiers, and the body in the casket was taken by Gladwell and moved and instead of being buried here,
No
was
way.
taken
Intercepted
down
during the funeral procession.
during the funeral.
Jennifer, thank you for joining us. That is a lot of information. I've been intrigued by this story for a while, so we were really fortunate to have you here. And I'd like to say a quick thank you to the Department of Veterans Affairs who set this up today. We'll have plenty more live streams. So thank you so much for joining us.